Okay, so today our webinar is on our onboarding piece. Both of you currently use our time clock feature, and this is just an additional part of that time clock. So the flight portion can be found in Hub, and that's currently where your employees are clocking in and out and viewing their timesheets. So for onboarding, your employees, new hires, would be able to fill out their paperwork electronically. What that means is they would actually be able to fill out the I-9, the W-4, and any company specific documents prior to their first day on the job. So once we're clicked into Hub, if we click HR, and I just want to confirm everyone can see my screen. So in the HR section, there is new hires. So under new hire, this is where we would actually add a new hire to be added to the system. And in here, we can click add new. We can also maintain new hire documents. So we will automatically upload the LST exemption form. We'll also do a residency certification form for your company as well. But if there's any company specific documents that you as the employer need your employees to fill out, you can send them to me and I can do what we call a merge tag. A merge tag allows us to auto-populate an employee's name, apply their signature to the documents. It'll apply their address, anything that needs filled out when they're filling out the documents, we can upload here and it'll automatically do that as they walk through the system. So we can add them in here and we can either make them a default document or not. So a default document is a document that's going to show up on all new hires. So if it's something that not every new hire needs to fill out, depending on what their job position is, we can just mark it as no. That way it doesn't automatically default and it has to be manually added to a new hire every time a new hire is hired. So we're going to walk through adding a new hire. So we click add new and the company information at the top automatically defaults to the company information that we have set up in our system. This new hire contact is going to be anyone that the employee needs to contact if they have any questions. So again, once this is filled out the first time when you're hiring your first employee, this information automatically stays there. If at any point it needs updated, you can update it and then it'll save for the next time you hire a new employee. So we're going to walk through adding a new employee. And then their email address would be the email address that they are going to be receiving the new hire paperwork to. So we want to make sure we have access to that email address and we have the right email. A job title is not required, but if you would like to put one, you can. And then the date that they're being hired. If your company would have multiple states would be listed here, and then you would just check the state that the employee is working in, and then a welcome message. So there are some templates in here. So we could do welcome aboard, so happy for you to start, or if you have something that you would like to write, we can enter it right in this box. And that's the message that the employee will receive once they receive their new hire documents. So we'll click save and continue. And now this walks through the documents and all of the standard employee documents are automatically defaulted in here. On the right-hand side of the screen, it talks about each document. So here we can see if we want to click on it, this will take us to the I-9 form. And it should open up in PDF and open on my other screen. So it'll open up to give you an example of what the document looks like. So we want to make sure we have the I-9 checked, the federal W-4. Since Pennsylvania is a flat percentage state withholding, we do not need a W-4 on file. So if you uncheck the box, it does remove it from this new hire, but it will automatically recheck for the next employee that would be hired. In our flight system, we also have WOTC. WOTC is a work opportunity tax credit. So if you hire an employee who is part of what they call a WOTC target group, you would be qualified to get a tax liability credit on the business's tax return. And that credit can be up to $9,600. If the WOTC is chosen, it has to be provided to every employee. It can't be one and not another. So once this is set up, all new hires must be required to fill this information out, regardless if they qualify. For today's purposes, I'm going to uncheck this. And then we also have the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act states that we have to provide the health insurance information to all new hires. If you offer health insurance, you must select yes to all employees or yes to some, and then explain who is eligible for health insurance. If you do not offer health insurance, we just mark no, and this information will stay for every new hire. So once you fill it out for the first new hire, it will automatically stay for the next one. And then there's custom documents that I had touched base on in the beginning. This is where we would select, if it was a default report, that default would automatically show up here just like this LST exemption form did. If it's one that we're going to be adding manually to each employee, we want to click select an existing document from your new hire library. And that'll give us a list of all of the documents that we have available to choose to add to this employee. Save and continue. And then this moves on to a compliance training. This is a 20-minute video. The employee must watch all 20 minutes and answer a couple questions at the end. Once they complete it, they will get a certification for ethics. It's like a certification for ethics and code of conduct. So that'll be available in their new hire reports that are provided to you as the employer. We also have direct deposit. You can select if you would like the employee to be able to choose the option to do a paper check. If you don't offer the ability to do a paper check, we would mark no, and then the employee is required to fill out their direct deposit information. And then we also have emergency contacts. There's also some pre-built questions in here. So some of these are, I comply with all company policies and procedures. So we could upload the employee handbook into the custom company documents, and we can mark this to be required that they're acknowledging that they've read the handbook. There's others that they understand they're an at-will employee. So any of these can be checked if you would like the employee to acknowledge that they have read those statements. We also have custom questions. Custom questions could be anything that you need to know about an employee. It could be if they have food allergies, if you provide t-shirts, if you provide logo wear, what size t-shirt they would need to provide them a t-shirt maybe on their first day. So those can be an acknowledgement question. It can be a text entry. So it could be a question and you require them to type an answer. We have single select. Those answers could be yes, no, maybe, or never, and then yes or no questions. So those are different types of questions that can be set up in the system, and they can be as generic, or even if you just need to know if they have a valid driver's license, that could be a yes or no question. And those are created right in here. So create a custom question. You can type in the question. And then this is where you can select a yes or no, single select, or text entry. And then should this be a default question? So should this question show up on every new employee that you would hire? And then that adds that to our list of questions that will automatically check every time we add a new employee. Save and continue. And this is the part where we want to just verify that everything looks okay. It goes over the documents that we selected. So we selected for this employee to receive the federal W-4, the I-9, the direct deposit authorization, and our LST exemption form. We're going to ask them 7 questions for their emergency contracts, and we did not select for the training to be required. If everything does not look okay and we need to start over, there is a start over button here. It will take you all the way back to the beginning. If everything looks okay, we just check this box to certify that this is a new employee, and we hit complete. So now at this point in the process, the employee has now received an email to fill out their new hire documents. So I can show you what the new hire is going to see on their end. So we'll go back to our dashboard. And on here, we can see that our new employee, Allison, if we click on her, has not filled out any of the information. So you can kind of keep track of where the employee is in the process so far. If for any reason this employee had never started, we can remove the new hire. Or if they never received the email, we can send a new invite to Allison to complete her paperwork. We're going to go over to the email. And here we can see that they received an email that says you've been invited to complete your new hire paperwork. And here's that message that we typed in at the very beginning. Welcome to the team. We are excited to have you. So they're going to click on this link. And they're going to enter the email address that they received this email at. And then they're going to create their password. And this, the password they are creating to fill out the paperwork, is also going to be their password for Hub to view their pay stubs once they're fully onboarded as an employee. Okay. So this is what the employee is going to see on their side. They're just going to confirm that their first name is correct, their last name, and then they're going to provide their social security number, their gender, and their date of birth. And then they will also provide their home address for you. And a good telephone number. Save and continue. And here the employee is going to set up their signature. So they can either draw their signature with the mouse, or if they would prefer, they can type their name in here. And choose the different fonts if they would like their signature to be changed. Click save and continue. This is just a notice that you are signing all of that they are signing all the documents electronically. They click yes that they've understood. And now it walks through those documents that we had set up for them. So with the I-9, it walks them through if they are a citizen, they're going to mark the box, and their signature automatically applies to the document. Save and continue. And if at any point they need to start over as well, they have that ability also. The next form was the W-4. So on here, they're going to select their filing status. They're going to answer yes or no, or if they are exempt from federal withholding. And even in here, it tells them to be exempt, you must meet both conditions. So it does walk them through what they should be selecting. It also has this withholding calculator that takes them right to the IRS's website that they would be able to fill in their tax return from the previous year and help them fill out this form. Once they have their W-4 filled out, they're going to click Save and Continue. And now it walks them through the LST exemption form. So it's going to ask them if they have more than one employer. If they do, they will need to provide a copy of a pay stub showing that they're paying the LST tax elsewhere. If they plan on, if they're going to make less than $12,000, they need to provide a copy of the W-2 from last year. Are they currently on active duty in the military? Or are they disabled due to the military? If they answered yes to any of these questions, they would be exempt from their LST, but have to provide proof to you as the employer. Save and continue. And it does keep a running total on the right-hand side of what forms they've already filled out so far in the new hire process. Because we selected that they had the ability to do a paper check, they have the option here to select which one they want to do. For today's purposes, we're going to do a paper check. If they would select a direct deposit, it walks them through adding their routing and account number, and if they have more than one account. Next is their emergency contact. And if they want to add a second emergency contact, they do have the ability to do that. And then they can click Save and Continue. And it walks through those questions. So we had put that we wanted them to acknowledge that all the information provided is complete and accurate. They comply with company policies and procedures. And then these were those custom questions that we set up. So this is a drop down. Save and continue. And then this asks them to review all of the information that they had entered. If they wanted to view a document, they can click on it. And that opens up and shows their information already pre-populated into the document. It already has it filled out and their signature is already applied. And then your company information would be shown at the bottom. Once they take a look over everything, if everything looks okay, they check the box and hit complete. And now their new hire paperwork has been sent to you as the employer to put them back onto payroll. So we're going to sign out here and go back to our page. It's probably going to be signed back in. Go back to the main page. And if we click HR, new hires, we can see Allison now has changed from yellow to green. And all of the documents are now on the right-hand side. Since the I-9 has information that's required to be filled out, at this point, the employee is not yet set up for payroll. On their first day, they would still need to provide their I-9 documentation. So you would want to click list A or list B, depending on which documents they've provided to you. And once this information is filled out, it automatically updates their I-9 form. So if we select passport, it asks for the document number and an expiration date. And then information about you as the reviewer, you can put owner, employer, whatever the job type, your job title is. Save and continue. And this would be your signature. So once you create the first time you set up a new employee, it will ask you to also create your own signature. Save and continue. And now we're going to complete the new hire process. At PaySmart, we automatically leave the employee number blank if we're using just the next number in line. We're going to make sure their hire date's correct, if they're full-time or a part-time employee. And then if you have multiple divisions, we would select which division they're going to be under, their department, and then how they will be paid. So this will default for the pay frequency to how we have your company set up in our system. And then if she's going to be an hourly employee or if she's going to be a salary employee. What state she's going to be working in for unemployment tax. And then once we have that information completed, we're going to select the box to add Allison to payroll. And then we'll hit complete and add to payroll. At that point in the process, that employee is now added to your PPX. She's also added to our system for processing. So this automatically adds them into the system. That way they're able to work. It also adds them to the time clock as well. So we can see here now that the new hire paperwork is being sent. We would receive an email at PaySmart that you onboarded a new employee. We would go in and just verify and double check all of the direct deposit information and the W-4, and then we would go ahead and do the PSD code lookup and set them up with the right local taxes. We'll go back to our dashboard. The other piece of the flight system is the HR pieces. So we talked about the onboarding side of adding the new employee. We also have what is called custom fields. So custom fields could be driver's license. If you need to keep track of an employee's driver's license, the employee would log into their hub on their side and fill out these custom fields. That way we can run a report. If we needed to run a report on driver's licenses for the employees, that way we can double check who's about to expire. If we need to run a report on emergency contacts, we could do that as well, as long as they fill one out. You could make up your own questions if you wanted to know what their favorite color was, if there was a certification that the employee is required to have. Again, we can pull a report under reporting of those expiration dates. And these can be created custom. So if you have a custom field that you needed just for your company, I can walk you through how to set those up. In the HR piece, we also have workflows and tasks. So a workflow is something that if you wanted to send it out to all employees, if you wanted to send it out to only a select department, we have the ability to do a paperwork that'll only go to a certain department. The employees would receive a notification that they have a document to fill out. And then once they fill it out, we can come in here and actually look at the documents. Or we can click on this and we can see who is currently in process and how many are completed. So some of our clients use this for health insurance enrollment. Some of them use it for a new employee handbook. So an updated acknowledgement page if you need the employee to sign off that they've read the handbook. We also have alerts. So alerts would be if you wanted the system to automatically generate an email to your employees based off their date of birth. We could create an alert that once their birthday comes about, they'll receive an email or a notification that says happy birthday. And those are set up in the plus sign. And then the templates, there's birthday or welcome to the team. But you can also use these as a hire date. So you could set up an alert for a performance review. So we can have that alert go off hire date. We can do an annual alert as the frequency. If we want to send it X amount of days before, on the actual date, or X amount of days after. What time of day this should be sent and who we're sending this to. So if it should be all active employees, the alert will be triggered on all employees that on their hire date, 3 days before their hire date, we will get an alert that they're due for their performance review. And then a subject of the alert message that this is what's going to come to you as the employer. And then who should receive this alert. So if it's a performance review, you can mark all administrators, and then that alert will only come to you. If we're setting up the birthday, then we want to do the employee themselves so that they get the alert, hey, happy birthday. So those are the other features that are also part of the onboarding the HR piece. Did anyone have any questions?